everyone. Good evening. Thank you for coming to the Emerhub community events. This is one of our regular events where we support the community and to be participated in the community involvement. First and foremost, we would like to say thanks to Tropical Nomad Coworking Space for providing us such a beautiful venue. And today we're gonna cover about the restaurant establishments in Bali. And Emerhub team will be covering about the technical facets and the updated regulations. And Raymond is our account executive, the consultant. We will also have another speaker on the second session, Pak Ben. Pak Ben Karmadi is the co-founder of Habitat Hospitality in Bali. All right. So maybe some of you already know who we are, what do we do. So Emerhub is a market entry consulting firm. We've been helping companies doing business in Bali. Our mission is lowering entry barriers in every emerging markets. Here are the 4 pillars of our service to help and assist our clients. The first one is about the corporate secretarial. We help the companies and expats or foreign entrepreneurs to set up their entity in Bali. The formalities about the visa-related or work permits. And we also help the post-establishment services where it is about the compliance, tax and accounting, as well as about the payroll. And the second one is employer of record. This is where we help foreign or abroad companies to find the local talent in Indonesia or in Bali, do the remote working or remote job towards their company in overseas. And also we help we have the recruitment service. It's about the talent solutions and headhunting and other related services about the importer of record and the real estate and property related service. Yes, this is about the restaurant business activity where we actually gonna talk about the OSS system changes. Okay. So since 2020, the OSS system or the online single submission has been changed and implemented. So the government actually categorized the business based in the risk category and will determine later about the suitable licensing. So for the restaurant, we have four risk category. The restaurant with less than 50 units or sittings, it's categorized as in low risk. And medium low is the sitting between 50 until 100. And medium high, the sitting between 101 until 200 seats or units. And the last one is about the high more than 200 sittings. Like for example, the low risk, the license will only have the business identification number or NIB. And also the both medium low and medium high, the license they should require is the business identification number and also the standard certification. And the last one is the restaurant with more than 200 unit sittings. They should obtain the business identification number, standard certification, and other related licensing. Okay. The only business code is one identification before you actually register your company. Restaurant have only one business code. It's 56101. This group includes the kind of food service business which is located in the business premises. This is allow 100 foreign ownership since 2016. Steps for opening restaurant in Bali as a foreigner. So before you actually run the restaurant business, the first thing that you should do is actually find the proper property, the suitable licenses under this property as well. And you can also do the property due diligence before moving forward with the transaction. And finally, if all legal documents towards the property are good to go, so you can start with the leasing a property for the restaurant. And the property has to be in the proper zoning with the building permit. It used to be IMB. We call it IMB, but now it's PBG for a restaurant. And after all documents or all property license already good, you can start to establish a foreign-owned company, or we call it here Ptpma. It's a 100% foreign ownership company. This type of LLC will allows you to generate revenue under a company. You should obtain the restaurant licenses in Bali. For example, like if you run the bar restaurants, you should have the alcohol licenses, or just like a cafe with 100 seating. So the standard certification is required as well. And after that, you can start to operate the business or restaurant business.
So I will be covering the incorporation part. Next slide, please. Okay, before we set up the incorporation part, we need to understand and also keep in mind several notes. The first one will be every Ptpma, or we call it LLC, is actually 100% allowed for a foreigner to obtain the company. The second one will be the minimum capital, paid up capital. It will be 10 billion IDR, or around 780 US dollars. For the structure of the company, will be at least 2 shareholders. The first one will be the director of the company, the local director, and the second one will be the commissioner of the company. And as Andy said before about the licenses of the restaurant, there will be several licenses that you have to keep in mind. The first one will be the verified standard certification, or a certificate standard that will be issued after the OSS RBA, and also with the environment permit and hygiene license. The hygiene license will check whether the sanitary of the restaurant is good or not, is it hygiene enough. And also the alcohol license, if you're planning to set up alcohol selling, we have to have the CUPMB, we call it here, the alcohol license. And then the last one will be the custom license for the sticker of the alcohol. And for the commercial address, there will be 2 options for you to register. The first one will be the restaurant cafe bar permit, the PBG. It's already been covered to PBG. The previous one is IMB. And the second option is to rent a shop, or we call it here in Indonesia is ruko, with tourism zoning only. And also what we should keep in mind is that every beverages of alcohol above 5%, we should apply for the CUPMB, the alcohol license. So every alcohol above 5% need to register for the CUPMB. Next slide, please. Okay, as I said before, I know it's a bit a lot. 10 billion IDR and also maybe 780 US dollars. But, however, there is no clear enforcement yet for the company to inject directly to the bank account. In the market practice, there is no enforcement yet by the Indonesian government. They have no giving warnings to the company. But the thing is, what the Indonesian government wants is for you to actually report for the investment every quarter, pay the tax monthly, also do the annual corporate tax, and also pay for your personal tax as well.
Correct.
Yep.
However, if you think that this paid-up capital is quite much, and I'm not if for example I'm not ready to inject to lodge in the paid-up capital directly in the company, you can still you can use the statement letter or sign the statement letter where you then be liable to this paid-up capital to be injected by time to time or progressively.
Okay, so we're talking about the incorporation process. For the Ptpma registration or the LLC registration will actually take around 4 until 5 weeks. And then after the Ptpma is registered, we're going to have to apply for the kitas, for the investor kitas, for the shareholders. It will roughly take around 1 until 2 months. And after that, we're going to apply for the licenses that we'll be talking about. It's around 3 until 5 months. Yeah. Also, this one we'll be talking about the compliance, the comply that you have to report, the taxes.
The post-establishment
yeah.
service.
The first one will be the corporate income tax. So, for every operating new company for the first 3 years, there will be like a graceful from the Indonesian government.
The facility.
Yeah, the facility. So for you only
years.
to pay 0.5% for the first 3 years. It's low, compared to other countries. And after that, after the 3 years, if you receive income more than 4.8 billion, the normal rate will be 22% of the net profit. However, if you receive lower than 4.8 billion, you will only pay 11%.
The dividend tax for those investor or shareholders who want to pull out the profit out of the company. For resident individual, the tax rate will be 10%. The resident individual means that you are the taxpayer, taxable payer who actually have this suitable stay permits. We call it here kitas, and you also have the NPWP here, the tax card. So then you should comply with the tax reporting as well for the dividend. So for that is 10%, and also for non-resident recipients or shareholders, the tax will be subject to 20%. And profit of the company can be also reinvested to the company with no tax implication. For example, like, okay, so I want to comply with the paid-up capital. It's almost reach my profit to be as the paid-up capital as well. So there's no tax implication to fill the paid-up capital.
Yeah, the next one will be the tourism tax. So there are mandatory tourism tax that every company has to be paid every monthly. It will be 10%. And also for the investment reporting, we call it LKPM, it will be done quarterly. So every year there will be 4 reporting that will be done. I think the next one will be on 10th April, yeah?
In April.
Yeah,
correct.
For the Q1 2022. And then also we have to comply with the national health security or the insurance. We call it here in BPJS. So yeah, it's also have to be comply every monthly for the employee of the company.
Correct. Just want to clarify on the BPJS, it is when you are already hiring the staff, you should register your staff for the BPJS system.
So we're gonna cover 4 common mistakes that company used to do in Bali. The first one is leasing without IMB, makes you an illegal tenant and forces you to pay the retroactive tax. In the market practice, we found a lot of restaurants leasing places without an IMB, and we're gonna tell you that it is not legal, and we cannot do leasing IMB without the restaurant or the shop IMB. The next one will be using an unsuitable permit for residential home or different business activity will get you a warning letter. So, as I said before, if you register a different IMB, let's say in a not tourism zone, and then you register a restaurant, you will get a warning letter from the Indonesian government, and then you're gonna have to pay the tax retroactively, and then they're gonna have to lease another property and incorporate with the correct IMB. And also, there are a lot of restaurants in Bali who plays like musics in their cafes, loud musics, yeah. So in this case, we're gonna have to also apply the license for the cafe in order for them to play loud musics, because it can actually disturb the community if we doesn't apply for the license. And also the last one will be the alcoholic beverages. As I said before, if we sell alcohol above 5%, we're gonna have to apply for this alcohol license.
Yeah. About the intellectual property or HQA, this is something that you have to get from the government. It's not similar like you get the license from the Banjar. So this is actually obligate when you actually wants to have loud music, something like live music in your business premises. So like at the beginning, I just want to have a restaurant, normal restaurant, a cafe. So but the trend is keep going, keep moving, moving, and they want to have a DJ playing in their premises. So you should add one more license for the restaurant business.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, for the next topic will be covered by Ben Karmadi, the owner or the co-founder of Habitat Group Bali. Please welcome Pak Ben.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to invite me over here. I'm pretty sure you guys know like quite a other successful restaurant owners. It's quite of an honor to be here. So my company is Habitat Hospitality. We founded in 2014. We started with small projects with Anomaly Coffee, Pipiltin Cocoa, and then we set up a cafe in Gili. Sorry? Isn't he? Okay. Imagine that one. So we opened a cafe in Gili. We work with Cyan House and other places. Now we, due to Corona, we contract a little bit as like anybody in the hospitality industry. But now we regain a couple of new projects and exciting properties in Indonesia, so to speak, not only in Bali actually. Some of our footprints, this is some of the business that we invest as well. So Cafe Del Mar is one of our probably the biggest client that we ever maintain. We help them with structuring the JV, getting the land, due diligence, acquiring the capital in excess of $5 million. In total, it was a $10 million investment for the whole thing. And then one of my business partners, who's the director of finance, he taking care of the Seniman Coffee. And Shotgun Social is one of my investments in Sanur, together with Soul in the Bowl, Soul in the Beach. Those are. And yeah, we worked together with Bali Spirit Festival before in terms of finance and incorporation side, because it's quite of a gigantic company when you look at it. It's not only yoga barn, it's actually there's a festival, there's a cafe, there's a food production, there's a farm, there's a yoga retail center and all that. And then Jonos is I don't know if you ever heard of this one. It's a sausage and bacon company specialized in using a black heritage pig in Bali. And their office is in Kerobokan. So if you love like bacon, I know there's push for vegan and plant-based. We're not getting there yet. Almost there. Jonos is to go, and we work with the hospitality company like Adiwana for their project in Adiwana Sweta. And there's a couple more, but I don't want to bore you with what we do. I think we're just more interested about seeing where things going. And this is based on the data we captured and based on our projects and what we learned from one project to another across the country, to be fair. Currently, we have a project in Samarinda, nearby the new capital of Indonesia. I guess you have heard about Indonesia shifting their capital to Borneo, between Balikpapan and Samarinda, together with Vans Indonesia and a couple of other retailers. It's a multi-brand development with retail, Japanese dining, and a Japanese-style coffee shop in Samarinda. Another one is in Batu Belig. We secured this contract in 2021, November, just before the end of the year. We making a casual dining with a playground and Jogla architecture, and then we're bringing fire cooking, Asian fire cooking into the concept. It hasn't been done before, so I'm quite nervous about this one. And again, we love the challenge on executing a new brand, because we create the concept, we create the brand, we create what it looks like, and often we create a concept out of an existing building and what we can pull out of it. Another one we're doing at the moment with the team is doing a financial modeling and feasibility study for the construction side of eco resort in Tabanan. This one span at 2.4 hectare in already zoned tourism, so thank God. And it's we're doing the consultancy and the restaurant setup of this with the permaculture in mind as well. I've never done it, to be fair, when it comes to permaculture, so we have like quite a fair bit of a different team players. So we're not only doing everything ourselves, we play with other teams that know what they're doing, and we hire these specialists for that. And another one we're doing in Jimbaran, nearby University of Udayana. This one's more like student cafe, completely for co-working, helping the students to do some work there, but at the same time creating a place to hang out, like more like a melting pot for the students, because Udayana University at the moment is preparing about 6,000 rooms for the students in Udayana. And they just groundbreak about 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, so it's a good way. And it's funded by the government, so there's not going to be a default on that one. Couple of our philosophy that we believe on, we try to be on trends. Hospitality is always change, and over 7 years of running this business, nothing remained the same. Everything's changed. New players coming in, new concept coming in. It's new diet coming in every 2 weeks. I don't know. I cannot sometimes keep up with the diet, to be fair. Like, it's hard. And we try to be as reliable as possible. This is Bali. Our investor would love to have us to be reliable, on point, on time, and then delivering the factual information to what we know. And then it's almost a 24/7 business, really, because you have a client in overseas, time difference, they forgot about it, and they call us at 11 p.m. at night. It happened before. We always accommodate these changes. And one part of our philosophy is sustainable. In most of the development we do, including now, we're doing development in Lombok, 20 rooms with, let's let him pass first, shall we? It's a 20 rooms development with a day club of 150 in Lombok, south of Lombok. Together we work with Eco Mantra, which is a sustainability company that's owned by our friends. And that's the first time we actually work in that spectrum. Truly sustainable, calculating every single water point, electrical grid, like it's a next level of complication. But we took it regardless, because now okay, this is what we need to do, and we can implement that best practice and how to do it in Bali, because Bali, as we know it, is facing a water crisis, and how we can preserve the water and be mindful about the consumption side of it. And we experience in what we're doing. Myself, I've been in the industry for since I was kind of 18 years old when I was in Bali. Finished high school, worked in McDonald's in Bali, and then studied in Australia, and I worked there from the age of 18 in Australia. Got back here about 10 years ago. Oh God, it's almost 10 years now. 10 years, and work in the 5-star line business in Sofitel and other food and beverage while I was studying. And we actively participate. We know that most of our clients, they have zero experience in F&B, they have experience in F&B, and we are there with them. And plus, most of the client as well that we have is from overseas. Language barrier, so we have to put ourselves in that shoes as well. And most of our staff have been working overseas and have worked with the foreigners as well. So there's a communication that we need to maintain with our client here. And that gives them the assurance, the comfort of knowing that, okay, I can rely on someone here through that journey. And just a quick recap about what happened in the past 6 months, more or less, or a year, since Corona pandemic hit. IMB changed to PBG and SLF. To put it simply, PBG is the one that you applied in the beginning with the local architect office. And then SLF, if you're using an overseas architect, with the help of local architect to get the certification. They check all of this all the way. So, for example, if you start the construction site, start the foundation, the government will come and check, make sure that, okay, you said 250 square meter building footprint, it's 250 square meter building footprint. In your drawing, if you said, I'm not building a pool, which has always happened, you always omit that one in your working drawing, and then the government comes like, why are you building a pool? They start become quite strict on that regard. So make sure you're using a certified local architect, structural engineer certified, and then certified SLO technician as well for your electrical and plumbing as well. You don't want to have problem with electrical these days. And then the risk assessment that has been covered by the team of Emerhub. So this is pretty much goes by the amount of seats, the type of business that you have, and each KBLE. KBLE stands for the code verification for your business. So before, I forgot the restaurant code, 53 something. If you have more than one, it will increase your capital adequacy level. So if you put 3, let's say you have restaurant and you have Pondok Wisata and another thing. If these 3 each of them is 10 billion. We learned this the hard way because our company have like 6 KBLE. So by the time like, oh, you need 60 billion, we're like, yeah, nah. It's like, I need to sell my kidney at this point. So there's a risk assessment for that one. And for the capital adequacy is increased and is monitored. You can prepare issued capital. So in this case, let's say you're going to issue the capital of 1 billion. The rest, the one you haven't issued, you can put it under unissued in your paperwork with your notary and with your lawyers. Yeah? And for those that have lived in Indonesia long enough and know that palm oil is one of the biggest industry in Indonesia, and in the past, I would say 4 weeks, we have a disruption to the palm oil because we supply to the 1/3 of the, I guess, big chunk of the CPO to the world. There's a bit of a shortage, and Indonesia, the population use palm oil primarily for cooking, and we've been seeing a spike in the price. And palm oil, not only for cooking, really. If you see the trace of it, it goes all the way to beauty products, cleaning products, household materials. We will see the price of this will go up either short-term or long-term basis. And gas price and fuel price, thank God we have a subsidy here, so we don't feel the effect so much. However, certain octane fuel has gone up in the past 3 weeks in Indonesia, and obviously worldwide we've seen the crude oil price gone up past 100 because of the last war in Russia and Ukraine that currently raging. And as a tropic country that's produce a lot of global community, we are susceptible to the price hike, price change in the global community market. Wheat has gone up recently because of the war, because Ukraine supplied 20% of the world wheat. Coffee, we are supplying the world's coffee, and there's been a disruption to the volume lately with the crops harvest last year and this year. And also the price in the West of coffee and commodity went up because shipping went up. One container, I think last time was 300 million, I think, I forgot. It was insane. Like to bring one container to US, to the West Coast, it was 300 million, I think. It was crazy, unheard of. And however, despite all that doom and gloom and what's happened, there's a shift in the Bali, fundamental shift. Since Corona, we have Mayo Clinic. I guess you guys using the website, you're checking on it and see the doctor of the Google, really. They opened their groundbreaking their hospital together with the government in Sanur, next to the Ina Bali Suite in Sanur. I forgot what's the size. It will be millions of dollars poured there. Why I said fundamentally will change. We're going to have the medical tourism coming in because this is the first international standard, and there will be change in how professional care and professional doctors working in Indonesia, because prior to that, you have to obtain your certification here in order to work here as a doctor, as a specialist. But now this will be changing, and also we might gonna see the housing for the care housing for the old people, like what we've seen in Thailand, that flourishing. Instead of putting your parents in place like in your home country, like in Netherlands or Germany, where the care housing can be quite expensive, there's a lot of people actually bring it to Thailand. We might gonna see this shift for Sanur in a short term or long term. And for those who also arrive in Bali and have been here for 5 years, you've seen how the residential housing spike. Price goes up in Pararenan, Tumbak Bayu over the speculation of the next project that's happening in Nyanyi, 40 hectare by Sergey, fintech guy from Russia that bought the property a long time ago. This is something that's quite exciting happening in the west coast of Canggu. And a lot of people want to move here now because now we can work online. Okay, all of these people, the digital nomad, previously things like, oh, this is the future, and we always said, nah. And now that we've seen them coming in here, and I think we will see the residential housing and atmosphere will change here. Another one, I don't know if you know this, what they'll call it KSPN. It's KSPN stands for Kawasan Strategis Pariwisata Nasional, or Strategic National Tourism Development. I received the white paper back in 2018 that encapsulated what changes, which area the government will focus in Bali in this case. Previously, we only know Kuta, Uluwatu, Seminyak, Canggu. But in 2018 paper, they were talking about expanding the infrastructure logistic through the west to Balian all the way up to Lovina, and then all the way up to Batur, Kintamani, and all the way up to the east of Ahmed. About 3 weeks ago, Ubud Gianyar Regency, they continued with the phase 1, and the first batch out of the total sum 32.3 trillion rupiah has been signed off for the new infrastructure in Tegalalang connecting to Bangli, to Kintamani, and all the way down south to reduce the bottleneck of traffic right here. We've seen this development start taking place, infrastructure up in Bedugul. I don't know if you've been up there yet, up in the mountain. All the road has been quite nice. It's not deadly road anymore to go to Singaraja. It's nice actually now. And the same road that takes you from Gilimanuk, from the port, all the way to Mengwi is being constructed now. The new toll road finally is taking place. Next chapter is a connecting road from Mengwi to Ubud. Another one from that point to go up next north. It's part of the national development. This is to create the 10 new Bali, while at the same time maintaining Bali as it is for easier travel. You can find this information, KSPN, online if you need to. They made it available, quite ambiguous here and there, but you just pay attention to the government national project, you will see where it goes in the infrastructure works. 2 new beach clubs happening. One, Mari Beach Club by from the Shah Development, who owns a Monopoly Hotel in Jakarta. And that's a Shah establishment together with one of old-time business member in Bali. They will open the end of this year. And obviously, Holy Wings next to Fins. So in Brawa and Canggu, we have 2 new beach clubs the size of a golf course. And Holy Wings will be the biggest one in Canggu, well, Southeast Asia, actually. And so what's the future now for F&B wise? Let's put it this way, hospitality in Bali. I'm not gonna narrow the scope just to a restaurant, but I'm gonna narrow the scope. I'm gonna put the scope a little bit wider, because restaurant cannot live without hospitality. Another one, without spa, without a hotel, without the other auxiliary services, so to speak. With the corona, it really kills the low-end segment of the market. We're talking about the backpackers. They will not become for the next few years. We're gonna see more middle luxury up travelers coming in. corporate background from the data suggests in the past few months. And so if you're opening a restaurant and thinking about having the menu below 50K, I suggest you to find a good location that's very busy and execute it. If you're gonna do it in Canggu, don't do it. Like, please don't. It will be a very hard sell at this point. If you love coffee like I do, cannot function without a coffee, 2 cups a day, your price of cup of coffee will increase in the next 6 months, unfortunately. As mentioned before, the commodity price goes up. The quality of the crop has gone down for Arabica. And then the volume side has gone down as well for Arabica crop in Indonesia. So you're not going to see this price remain the same. However, our last trip to Europe suggests that there's 2 types of coffee beans. So the premium one, they use Arabica, and the one that you find in your Nescafe is a Robusta. The one that usually give you a bit of that jitter in your hand after drinking 1 glass. Right? Probably that one there behind you is a Robusta. More and more coffee maker, the Q grader, the farmers are paying more attention into Robusta, the quality of Robusta, how they harvest it, how they plant it, how they looking after it, nurturing for the past year has been quite special, almost like they looking after Arabica in this case. So the quality has gone up, and in the volume is very easy to harvest in comparison to Arabica. And we're gonna see this more and more being used in your daily cup. They won't say it, but it will be there. Before it was 50-50, now probably 80-20. And some blend, like Saniman, we start putting out like a Robusta blend. It's a very good taste. You won't notice it. It's much better quality than the lower end premium of the Arabica because of the quality and the harvest. And fine dining will become more and more casual because fine dining has facing the most crunch during the Corona. There's no way for you to survive in Corona if you own a fine dining. Good luck with it. Trying to sell like 300,000 or 1 million steak to take away and bring it at home, it's not going to cut really. It doesn't matter where you are in Jakarta or in Bali, it just doesn't fly. So there's a more trend to go towards casual, fun dining, and then more open space, and then lesser menu item now. I think a lot of the restaurateur like myself, including us in Cafe Del Mar, we start trimming down our menu now because availability of the product, and then the price still very uncertain, the quality of the harvest as well is a bit uncertain, so we're trimming it down into what's available now, which is good, like in a way that we're very happy with it. It's really reducing our impact towards the environment. And then a lot of restaurants now looking for a vertical expansion instead of just horizontal. So horizontal expansion means if you own a restaurant, you do catering, you do takeaway, you do retails. That's your horizontal, yeah. What I mean by vertical, they're obtaining another line of business, maybe in food production that specialize in cold cuts, butchery, spice productions for retails that requires a different type of certification again. So they're moving up into looking at different vertical, a different source of revenue in the event of having another crisis like today. Couple of restaurants, including myself, we start doing those kind of things as well. We start looking at different revenue during Corona, and some of them doing well, some of them not doing well. It's a gamble, really, in some part. Oh, sorry, did I miss something? Yeah. About this one, the 50K menu, we will not feel the inflation. Indonesia has a very good inflation side compared to like 10 years ago, or even like 5 years ago. Before, our inflation rate hitting like 6 to 10%. And Bali in particular has a unique and dynamic market because of the money that's coming into Bali is a foreign exchange. So the inflation here, if you look into nationally, is different to Jakarta, it's different to Kalimantan, it's different to the other island because ours are really affected by this foreign exchange that happened in the island, especially when we're receiving about 600,000 people at some point every single month internationally. Imagine some of them spending outward at $1,000 per person. So imagine what's that in terms of inflation in the country, in the island. So I hope our nasi campur still the same, yeah, but the pizza price probably gonna go up. Coffee price, anything that made with butter and milk from import, it will go up, sadly. Yeah, if you love croissant, yeah, you're probably gonna see that one goes up by 2,000 rupiah in the next few months, actually. Now, what we've seen in the customer side, our customer, because we have a limited of movement in the past few years, our customer tend to be very focused towards brand that's transparent, and then healthy lifestyle has become a norm, looking for space, and they want to know where the ingredients coming from, because the introduction of a blockchain that's helping you to obtain the information, certifications, and then the QR code is widely used for payment, all the way up to like knowing where your product's coming from now. And yes, I know, the vegan was right, okay? The vegan was right. We need to be more plant-based, plant-based, plant-based. It has been the mantra for the past few years before Corona, and we are looking at a new product that kind of like a meat. People like me who trying to be healthy, I'm gonna go towards meat-free but made from soy. Indonesia has adopting all of these new products now. There's a couple of new producer in green establishment that making the fake meat, like the Impossible meat in Jakarta, and there's a couple of new companies coming in as well to bringing the product into the country. This true, the natural inspired retreat and then yoga, I will put that one into a single explanation. The reason I put this two into one, because they correlated as a wellness industry. And I've did a survey to a couple of our acquaintances in the industry. They have reported around May and June, the yoga teacher training and people booking for the retreat and wellness detox program has gone up more than 100%. They fully book. Let's put it that way. Some of the established brands that have been dormant, they went back up now. So wellness and retreat are still thriving, especially people that's been burned out, facing depression. They start looking at this particular industry to Bali, and they want to do it in Bali now instead of in their home country. Yeah, okay, Tulum is still part of a very different audiences in Mexico, but we are in Southeast Asia. Bali is still preferred to do your retreat and your wellness here. Of course, with the open space, people still going to be afraid of, and it's take us a while to change our pattern of how we adapting to the new normal, even though as of the 4th of March, I think, the government already kind of take off the emergency status of pandemic in Indonesia. So technically, you don't need to wear a mask, but for now you keep wearing it. But they start taking off the 1 meter distance label in Jakarta. And so I think Bali will issue the same rules again soon. And of course, open space will be the next key factor on people determining about where they're gonna dine, where they're gonna spend their time leisure. And the fine dining that's usually quite stiff has become changed in a way, become a sharing format, because we kind of miss that relationship with people, the interaction. We miss that because we've been staying at home. We've been ordering so many takeaways, so many pizza, so many burgers, so many noodles during this COVID. But the intimate dining with a small space and a quality dining is a go now. It's a one way to capitalize on a smaller seating, but making the spend per head higher instead of trying to make the volume. Before, like one space of a 50 seat, you can have probably about 200 people a day. But now, you can't do that. How do you do that? Well, change the concept a little bit, put a premium price, put a premium experience. Like, to put it easy, there's a restaurant here called Samesa. That's a good example. If you're looking for intimate dining, smaller format, probably about 32 people, and then price between 500 to 800,000 per head, including drinks. And yeah, you have a different experience. If you're still interested opening a restaurant after what I just told you, this is a couple of principles that I strongly recommend our clients to do. Of course, if you require like any legality or advice, you contact these guys. We do that as well, but we always give it to like, please contact these guys, because we don't have the legal team. We have the compliance team, but we don't have the legal team as well. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Before you open your restaurant, prepare your brand DNA. Even though you haven't found a location, you have a concept. There's things that you want to do. Prepare that in writing. You break down the avatar. Who's your customer? Who do you want it to come? Just a simple exercise to keep your mind focused about what brand you want to create. Yeah. And then the design now, we have to be very careful, because a lot of the design is a copy paste. We try to refrain ourselves from doing that. We're inspired by other people's design, yes. But think about how that design will affect your avatar, the people that you chose to come, your target market. Whether that evoking their emotions in the long run, especially when we're talking about intimate dining and when talking about like wellness retreat. All these elements are very different. It creates a different kind of energy around your place. And once you do that, prepare that one in writing into your brand guidelines, your manual, and then your interior design guidelines. Don't do the common mistake of when you talk to interior design, you give them, this is my Pinterest account, please sort it out. Like we have an interior design and architectural company in our company, so we have all that certification to do that. But nothing more than frustrating. Actually, someone gave you, this is the Pinterest account. This is the one that we want to do. Okay, I said, is this for indoor? Is this for outdoor? Is this for the which sitting? At least put it into like a nice zoning. You know how in Pinterest you can do like zoning now, right? You can do like front of house. This is the uniform. You can make like a different folder in that particular link. Please do that at least and make it into your brand guidelines manual. For us to see it, we will be like, aha, okay, this is the emotion that we want to capture. This is the lighting. Oh, that light doesn't work on this one. For us as a designer in the business, like we understand what we're doing with it. And then prepare a budget. Ask your friend who run a restaurant. You can get these numbers through like your acquaintances to get your budget and site viability tests. There's a simple formula that you can get online now to do your site viability. And you test it with the revenue. How much money do you want to put into it? How much money they should making? Cash flow basis. It's actually very simple, but you just need to breathe when you see the Excel sheet. Don't panic. Just punch the number one by one. Even as simple as possible, it gives you the understanding. For now, all of our sites, we always tell our clients and our investors to prepare a 4 months worth of OPEX, operational expense, that covers your staff, operating expense, electricity, gas, internet, donations, any other things. We're not calculating cash flow at this point. Yeah, and then some point we actually said 6 months, but 4 months is okay if you're in Canggu, but if you're outside, do 6 month basis. It's nothing worse than like you open a place, you think it's gonna go well, you only have cash reserve for 2 months, and suddenly the revenue is not what you expected. You cannot pay your staff, you cannot pay your suppliers. In 2 months, you close the door, and you're trying to turn it on again. It requires the same amount of money, if not more amount of effort, to open it. And then people just gave up on it already. And it's opening a restaurant expensive, and you just need to really find the right partners with it. And find a suitable sites to host your operation, like this guy saying. So there's a couple of change. The RT Airway that was established in 2013, which is the first primary zoning, has updated last year in Kuta Utara, Canggu, and Tibu Benang. So they have what they call it artificial tourism now in some area. So check that one. This is the website if you want to go in Badung. It's always updated, and this is what we use as well. And there you can really check the zoning. Whether you can do cafe, bar, hotel, small lodge or inn, pondok wisata, and all that lot. Ask reputable source for an advice. And invest in consultation time. Is worth your time. Is better spending like 20 million finding the right information instead of spending like $1 billion to $2 billion and you realize like I cannot recover this. Yes, running a restaurant is a very emotionally drained business. Like if you ask me, we have opened more than 10 restaurants, beach clubs, cafes in the past 7 years, and involved maybe close to 20 of them over the past 7 years. So if you don't have the emotional side to deal with it, to deal with a complaint, hire someone else. Like get a management team to deal with it for you. It can be very, very hard, yeah? And like I say it all the time, this is the same principle that we take from Australia when I was there. If you pay your staff right, then you attract the right talent. And then I never cut costs on the right talent. If we have the right talent, we pay them accordingly, and they will stay. And most of the staff that we have hired from Habitat in Ubud since 2016, we still employ them today through all of our sites that will reopen again in 2020 and 2021. And that's through one of our CSR cafe, the Social Impact Business Cafe in Canggu, that we opened together with the help of NPAC and German embassy in Jakarta, German state funding. And that we have helped about 200 staff, 200 people to be re-employed from that program until today. One of my favorite restaurateur who owns Shake Shack, Union Hospitality Group, Danny Mayer, and this is truly still profound to me until today, that why I love doing a restaurant and why we'll still have that future is we as a people love to socialize, and restaurants the place we do our social affair, our politic talk. Like if you look in Indonesia, most deal is sealed in a restaurant. It's not in the rice field. The deal is sealed. It's always in a restaurant. It's always in the bar. Big deals taken care of in the bar, right? So I think that will still be relevant in Bali and how the business will move forward, really. Thank you so much for the attention. If you have any question, feel free to ask me now.
You mentioned earlier that Canggu is no-go. You establish a restaurant here. What is the reason for them to not to start the restaurant business in Canggu area specifically?
What I mean by that is actually a smaller margin. We're talking about high volume. So like the 50K below menu, try not to do that here. If you're going to do it here, might as well just go up straight away on the premium market now. Like we're talking about average menu spending between 90,000 onwards, yeah? You will be very susceptible to inflation at this point. Your profit margin, you're probably looking at after taking all of everything, depreciation, amortizations, your operating costs, you're probably looking at around 5%. But if you go up, middle up, like all that luxury end, you may be obtaining the realm of 15 to 10% of net profit. The cost is different, yes, but the headaches, if not, it's not less. It's the same. You're opening a small place, cafe, that's sitting like 40 seats in comparison to like 40 seats of like a high end. Yeah. It's the same. Just the level of details and how often you do your product is different. You might as well invest into that. and you're not worried about like the next door not opening the same thing again, another avocado, smash avocado, yeah. So.
Right. So where do you think is the hotspot, like within 3 or 5 years, the following 5 years to start the restaurant? I mean, like for these people, maybe want to start or kick off their restaurant business already like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they have to choose the proper area,
Yeah.
the perspective.
If you're first timer and new in the industry and haven't had one, and thinking about opening a cafe, my suggestion, don't look into what others are doing, like Bake, Butterman. If you look fundamentally how they're successful, it's not coincidental. They have a very strong social interaction before even they open.
Yeah.
So if you're going to open something, if you're going to start new on your cafe venture, be reasonable with the location side. Be respectful about the quality of the product you put in. And I will strongly suggest find something in Perairan or Seseh. If you're going to targeting into the local market, never forget about this. Look, local market, as painful as they are sometimes, like as they can be quite naggy, but they are very, very stable. Like I encourage my foreign investor, don't just look Seminyak, don't just look at Canggu, don't just look at Kuta. This is before Corona. We actually hold our investment for Ubud at that time. My investors like, there we go, 6 billion, open 2 more restaurants in Ubud 2020. This is when we came back from London. And my friend in BlackRock investment said like, don't do it. 2020 is already like, there's a downshift. We decided not to. We're going to wait until May. And lucky we wait. We didn't spend 6 billion of opening a new restaurant in the middle of pandemic. Well, I did open Shotgun. That's a different story. The building is almost done, so we need to do something with it anyway. So if you're going to do it, don't just focus like because something hyping Canggu. Oh, I'm going to open one in Canggu. It costs more to open here. The rental is crazy. If you look at it, like it's crazy. Looking into other area like Denpasar that has a better foot traffic and you can have better square meter size, right. And you can cater more people, and the market actually quite surprisingly is very stable. And you can go to Seseh. There's a strong community and can start build a community there around it with the product that you know. And people think like, yeah, but it's not Canggu. But why here? Why do you have to do here? I mean, if you want to do it here, go for it. But be ready with the risk. Don't copycat it. It's the fallacy of, like, you will never believe it. I mean, I said it so many times. People are like, Pak Ben, can you do this one, copycat this brand and bring it somewhere in Samarinda? Like, now let me just do my market research first. Turn up to be, it's a very good market. They have a very strong supply, very strong spending. You'll be surprised like what you can do like outside of Bali and the other side of Bali. And people will think like Kintamani, right? All that cute cafe in the mountain. People like, who's going to open something there? But some of the local, no, let's do something and let's make something good. And now you go to Kintamani, they make like more than most places in Canggu. They make 45 million a day, 60 million a day in Kintamani. With like closer access to the green beans, they roast themselves, their margin is way better. And then you own the property and you're like, actually, this is not a bad investment, really. And sometimes when you have that good quality product and offering and a view, which is people coming from Bali for this, the view, and you want to escape the life that you have in New York, I want to be something quiet, and you open this thing in Badugul and you have that nice view, people will be drawn with it when you have that strong brand that you can communicate. You know.
Right. Talking about the copycat and so on,
yeah.
Do you have any suggestion for like, I have my own brand, the concept of my interior and so on.
Yeah.
Do you suggest them to have like special rights towards the interior?
Gray area there.
That's a gray area.
Yeah, because design, logo, typography, music, anything that tangible in this case, you can certify it and copyright it. What we call it in Indonesia, haki.
Haki.
It takes about 1 year to 2 years to do it, depending on the complexity of them, because they need to actually put it in the public and say, is anyone going to contest to this? Like the case with IKEA. You heard about it, right? So IKEA coming in Indonesia, and they said, okay, we're going to open IKEA. They're going to launch the company, register IKEA, and turn up to be someone else, or they registered the IKEA. It's a local manufacturing from Surabaya, and IKEA cannot contest this because these guys do it first. So if you interior, you cannot copyright it, unfortunately. But typography, your logo, your brand, your color scheme, that one can be patented. To the certain extent, there's still a bit of a gray area around even furnitures. So that's why you have a lot of furnitures like copy-paste from left and right. In Europe, it's a little bit more clear about that patent, including the patent of clothing and couture material. So if you have the design, unfortunately, cannot. It's hard to patent that.
How can people reach you out or find you?
You can reach us out on Instagram. We have a page, Habitat Hospitality Bali, or our website, habitatgroup.biz. And we have a contact forms about what we've done there. To put it simply, yes, we've done everything from opening to from construction side, because we have an architect in-house, interior design in-house, drafter, technical consultant for the whole thing, and kitchen designer as well. And then planning that, budgeting it with whatever type of equipment. And we've dealt with a lot of manufacturers, and we deal directly with their fabricators straight away. And to put it simply, what our business is the triple C. It's the construction, the conceptual side, and the consultancy. And our office in Brawa. If you Google like Habitat Hospitality Bali in Google, it'll take you to our office in Brawa, just nearby. I'm rarely there, so if you're going to try to find me there, I'll probably not be there. I'm always on site. Otherwise, unless there's an appointment, then I'll be in the office. The rest is just a secretary there.
Right. Okay, thanks a lot, Pak Ben.
Thank you so much for the...
So you guys, if you still have any questions, we are still around here. You can just reach to Pak Ben or to our team, Emerhub team, and give us any questions if you still have any hesitations on it. So thank you so much for coming to our events. Don't forget, we still have another events coming up. It's Expat Entrepreneur Meetup. We will have it in Jimbaran later on 22 March this month on Friday. So hope to see you guys again.